Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to open up the Water and Sewer Commission meeting for August 21st, 2017. All right. Anybody here for the public forum? No? Anybody see before? No? Okay. All right, let's go to approval of the warrants and minutes.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the following warrants, and there's one abatement in here as well. Worcester Telegram and Gazette for our superintendent job posting, $174.52. Cosgrove and Blatt for legal services, $643.40. Water and Sewer Commission salary for August 2017, $500. Charlton Police Department for detailed hydrant testing, $294.56. Charlton Police Department again for inspection of manholes on Route 20 construction, $176. Next, we have Franklin Electric for grinder pump parts, $2,456.44. Whitewater, overtime for hydrant testing, $1,057.50. And then we have a few from LaForte Electric, one for Burlingame Road for $660, one for Sunset Drive for $560, one for electric work he did at the plant, $1,021.72, and one more from LaForte Electric, Burlingame Road, $560. Forms and Supplies Unlimited, paper for bills and other things, $135.64. And one more for the Charlton Police Department for detailed work, $981.28. In addition to which, we have one abatement where we have done an incorrect meter reading error, and that's at 68 Brookfield Road in the amount of $290.64, and that concludes tonight.
A motion to accept is read.
Motion is
Yep.
second.
Yeah. Steve, those aren't listed within our minutes, within our packet.
There were some that were added after the fact. We added some Friday and we added some this morning, today.
Okay, so are they in here? Okay, all right, that's fine. Right. Okay,
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
okay.
Okay.
Well,
It still passes
passes,
because,
Right.
yeah.
next, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of July 24th, 2017.
I'll second it.
Is there particular ones you want to abstain, or is it just all?
No.
Okay. I
No,
just didn't-
just abstain, that's
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I'll second the motion to approve the minutes of the 24th.
And I have discussion on it.
Okay, and I'll
I
follow.
don't know if you have the minutes in front of you or not, but if you do, the second paragraph from the bottom,
Which page, Paul?
on the front page,
Okay, Mr.
July and
Gagnon.
August.
Mr. Gagnon made a motion to approve the minutes dated November 21st, 2016. These go back almost a year. Seconded by Mr. Lemansky. Gagnon vote yes, Lemansky vote yes. Now here comes the tricky part. Ms. Vaughn abstained because she wasn't present at the meeting. Mr. McKenzie abstained because he wasn't present at the meeting. And Mr. McGrath abstained because he wasn't present at the meeting. So if all three of them were not present at the meeting, there would have been no meeting. So somewhere there's got to be an error or something, unless I'm reading it wrong.
It would
But
have been when Joe was here. It would have been when Joe was still here, because it's 2016.
Yeah.
okay, that's a good explanation. Mr. Spielweck was present and not there. Okay, that's the only complaint, not complaint, but,
This is up top.
yeah, three. I didn't think that deeply, thank you. So, okay, we got a motion and a second here for this
So wait a
one,
minute.
and then I got one more.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Okay, could I have a pen down there, please? Preferably not your wife's. Thank you. Just want to stay closed, open. Anything else on that, Paul?
Nope, that was it.
Okay, I just want to bring this out is, this was rather lengthy, it's on page 3, starting at 8:15, 8:45. Ms. Craver gave us an update on the water rate study discussion.
Which
Okay.
is page 3?
Page 3, water rate discussion. Okay. And,
No good?
no, and so I just want to, after that lengthy conversation here is, and I know that we had made reference to it, is as you'll recall, we had voted to have Pioneer do a sewer rate study, and they gave us a report. But we never voted to have a water rate study, as far as the commission goes, to have that contract, never came before us as a contract for us to vote on. I believe it was $19,000. So I just want to make the point that, and again, either Steve or Norma, you can correct me, is nowhere in these minutes was there a motion, a second, and a vote to spend $19,000 to have Pioneer do a water rate study. So Norma and Steve, that's correct?
Correct?
Okay, all right, just
You guys had to
clarification.
do whatever you needed to do to keep these funds, so that we don't lose them. But I'm not for an actual physical vote, you told her to do whatever she can, needs to do.
Yeah, which, still, there was no vote.
I thought we were supposed to vote on Monday.
There only,
Because I
it was
wasn't
only
there.
myself, Alex, and Jen.
Okay.
And those are the minutes that Norma's going to have for us next week. But at that meeting, and at first I was stand-in chairman, because because Robin wasn't on the agenda, I wouldn't allow her to speak at first, and then that went on for 7 or 8 minutes, it's fine, come on up and speak. But at that, I think the minutes will show, is that it wasn't the prior week, which was this week here, which was the week of the 24th, to when that contract was approved. It happened before that. So, which, the point is that we had our town administrator go forward and commit to a contract without the commission voting on it. So that was the whole point behind that, is that, we can't have that. But anyways, I'm fine with the 24th now.
Okay. Got a motion and a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of August 7th, 2017, which I believe was our last meeting.
Second.
Any discussion?
I've got a couple of lines in here. I guess it's more of clarification. Again, this is, bear with me for a second here. August 7th. I'm all set with that, thank you.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Everybody was present, right? The 3 of us?
Gabe, Jen, Paul, Rob,
No,
I guess everybody but Alex.
Okay. Anything else? Is that it?
That's it?
That's it, no, I have no more.
Okay. All right, moving on. Steve?
Thank you, sir. Meter billing was completed on August 10th. High-carb parts are still coming in. We're receiving parts almost weekly now. The EQ pump 2 and 3, 2 pumps have been sent for estimates for rebuild. The estimate is around $433, $444 each for a determination as to whether they're worth rebuilding or not.
4,300?
No, sorry, 433.
Oh,
500 to $400 type thing.
Excuse me, Steve, those are the EQ pumps, which are how many horsepower?
10 horsepower.
Thank
10
you.
horsepower.
but that's just to look at them.
Yes, that's just the
That ain't
estimate.
to, that ain't to buy them.
I was gonna say,
Evaluation.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that ain't to buy them.
Jump all over that.
I thought that's what
Give me 10.
Exactly.
I'll put 8 on the
I'll
shelf.
make storage room.
Yeah.
We have
Sorry,
ju-
Steve.
Thank you. We have just completed 17,000 feet, linear feet of gravity line have been jetted. 46 Worcester Road was dye checked on Wednesday, August 9th. The dye was not seen at the manhole we were observing. The owners have contracted with Helgeson to camera the lines at 46 Worcester Road. More to follow.
Sorry.
It's okay. We're servicing 10 meters for low batteries and broken wires. We have been told that the town of Southbridge, their VFDs are in at Mass Ave and in the process of programming them to fit their needs, fit our needs. Every manhole in Route 20 from Griffin Road east to the last manhole in the construction site on Route 20 was fully inspected and found acceptable. There was nothing in the holes that was found unacceptable. I've handed out tonight a package of 15 to 20 pages. It's all relative to the sewer rates. I'm giving it to you now so that you've got a couple of weeks to look at it, review it. I plan to put it on the agenda for September 11th. Between meetings, we've handed out warrants, minutes, agendas, the McClure agreements. Beta found 2 issues in their processing, which they've now corrected. They expect to have more information for us by the next meeting. They found a connection missing in the Gillespie Road area. They found a connection missing on 169. Since they've put those things in, everything seems to be working better. So the matrix has been handed out with updates and comments.
If I may, Steve.
Sure.
Beta found what, where in the?
When they,
The modeling. Right?
yes,
Is this when they were blowing off the hydrants?
this was all part of the results that came out of that Wednesday redo that we did.
Okay.
And I didn't have information back. Bob went out on vacation on Wednesday. Kendra was back in today. She told me what they had, and they said the modeling seems to be working better. They found 2 issues that were not in the initial model. One was in the city area, in the Gillespie Road area, and the other was on 169. I can understand what Gillespie Road was, because we put an 8-inch line there, we connected 4 buildings there. I don't know where the line was on 169.
Okay, all right,
So
all right, all right.
that's what they know now.
Real quick, Steve, did you talk to Bob at all about,
I did, and he said he'd be getting back to me.
okay, about the rest of that contract,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Did he look at it like the way I looked at it? That we approved everything? And that it was,
His initial comments were that it was selectively culled out to
Correct.
do an
Correct.
action, and the rest of the other items would have to be elected to go forward. He doesn't recall that the contract was approved. It was approved on a item by item basis, the balance to be afforded by you gentlemen to continue or to do or activate.
so how much have we paid him so far?
No, the quote was $78,000. I don't know where we are today. I'd have to look.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Steve, on that sheet, I remember seeing the sheet, and there was a list of items.
Yep.
The whole menu.
Yep.
What items on there is he doing for the $78,000? Do you know? Did he say?
Well, the $78,000 would have covered the whole enchilada that was there. We have
Okay.
picked and choose what we've done, and we haven't got any bills from them yet anyway.
Okay, so what was on the entire document, and what was not on there was doing a rate study.
Correct.
I didn't see that. So.
Correct.
wasn't
It
on-
wasn't.
Well, I've looked again, so
I mean, what's your thoughts? My thought, go ahead.
my thoughts, looking at it, and I've asked them the question, but I haven't got an answer back yet, is everything that was on that proposal, my comments were to Bob were, don't you need all those to do a water rate study? He said, I'll have to get back to you. That was my take on it, the last reading that I
Right,
did.
but there was no direction in writing to do a water
No,
rate
no,
study.
no.
So it wasn't on there, but all those items, all those tasks were there, and the total bid for all those tasks was $78,500 or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
correct.
Correct.
Okay, so the only thing that we're missing is the water study.
Correct.
All right, but it's a known fact that all those items should be complete before you do the water study.
For the most part. Or they need to be done in vast majority or in conjunction with, yes.
Right.
Because he's gonna build us the blueprint of how many operators, how many this, how many trucks, how many, he's gonna build you the framework of your department.
Yep.
Which I would imagine would be,
Right,
built into how much a rate study would
right.
cost.
But now, in the minutes, like I said, the Charter Water and Sewer Commission has not signed a contract for that water study.
Correct.
But I think Robin Craver has signed the contract. All right, and the thing is I know at one of the meetings, she had said, if you want me to stop it, I can stop it. So I don't know what we should.
I believe we stopped it because I brought up the point, these two need to work hand in hand, and even Heather over at Southbridge agreed, because I asked her the question when I had to talk, and she agreed the same thing. She goes, they're both, you need them both, but they need to be done a little bit hand in hand. So Beta's engineering, Pioneer's, an actuary, they're an accounting firm. So they're not gonna tell you what flows are in hydrants, and Beta ain't gonna tell you, what your rate should be at. But you need both of them.
I know this is a little sidetrack, and I apologize.
Make it a little sidetrack.
I'll make it a little sidetrack. My confidence in Pioneer has certainly been lessened by the fact that he came across such a discrepancy in our income, and he did nothing to investigate it. And that discrepancy of income was only 3/4 of income and not 4/4 of income. And, I mean, that's what he does for a living.
Yep.
Is he's a numbers guy. But anyways, my digression's over.
That's not a side note, that's validating a contract that was just done a couple weeks ago, so. Did he offer any, I apologize, I wasn't here for the meeting. Did he offer any, hey, these numbers might not be totally accurate, this is only what we can go off of verified? How did he explain it, if you don't mind me?
Ms. Vaughn had suggested to him that in his report, for the year 2016, certified retained earnings of $638,000, I think that was the number. She said, really, that should have an asterisk after it to identify the fact that it was only 3/4 of income and not 4/4 of income. And correct me, Steve, if I'm wrong, but he wasn't going to change that,
Correct.
nor add the asterisk, which again I thought was.
Well, we're paying him to build us a picture, and if the picture ain't correct,
Well,
what are we paying you for? Right?
Well, if he goes the way he wanted to go, it might be overcharging our customers if we suggest his total rate that's not reflecting all the income.
Absolutely.
He admitted it was wrong, but he didn't do anything to correct it and suggest what it should be.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a pretty substantial increase. It's not a
Yeah.
2%, 3%,
Oh,
this
no,
is
no. It's probably-
30, 40%.
Yeah, it's probably triple of what we need, in my view,
Correct.
but anyways.
Okay.
That's next week, right, our
Yes,
next
sir.
meeting.
11.
Next meeting, we're definitely doing the rate.
Well, I'm putting it on, unless you
Okay.
tell me different.
Won't put it on. Okay.
Mitt?
That's it.
Questions?
Nope. Yeah, just let us know when Bob gets back to you, but.
Hey, we're flying.
Cool. Shake and bake. Keith, you wanna come on down? We'll get you out of the way, get you home to the wife and kids, and
Excuse me, Steve McClure, just tell him we're running early, if you don't mind. Thank you. So we're ready. Keith?
Good evening, how's everybody?
good, you?
Good, thanks. Everybody see the eclipse tonight,
This afternoon, yeah, it was cool. I had the glasses, the whole thing.
I had wicked cloud cover right where I was.
Oh, bright sun, bright
Yeah,
sun.
all of a sudden, it was like, right as it was coming, I look
Yeah.
up out of the excavator, and there it was, just perfect clouds.
Toward the end we had that.
Yeah, at the very end.
Oh, well.
My wife said, "Oh, it's getting dark." I said, "Yeah, it's just a cloud."
Yeah.
Hold on, no, it's just a cloud.
Oh, well. Next time.
Next time.
Okay, so at the treatment plant and pump stations, we had no safety accidents or incidents. The monthly safety checklist was completed. Training was completed. There were no violations for the MPDES permit, and attached is the performance report of the treatment plant. At the treatment plant, the weekly and monthly preventative maintenance work orders were completed. The weekly generator full load exercise was completed, there's no issues. It was serviced last month and we haven't had any problems, so all the servicing was taken care of very well. And corrective maintenance on the EQ blowers 3 and 4, we changed the belts and air filters and logged the hours for them so that we can get them set up in the maintenance program. I reworded the next one just so there wasn't confusion, because it was tough in the email. It read like it could say that there was a flooding alarm in the Headworks building, there actually isn't. This is a monthly critical alarm test work order that we created. So every month the maintenance program kicks
Nice.
out and we go and test all the alarms, and we got documentation to say, yes, they did work, they called out. So those were the alarms that we put on it.
Nice.
Was the influent high flow alarm, Headworks building high level sump pit, and the high core equipment failure, and then also we included the EQ tank high level float switches. Those are the actual floats, not the transducers that, excuse me, in the tank. On July 11th, the EQ tanks 2 and 3 pumps were pulled for inspection. Pump 2A was an older version model that we found out when we pulled the pump out. During inspection, it was noted that the space between the rear wings was about 1/8 of an inch out of specs. So what happens there is that the pump loses efficiency because you got a space between the wear rings, so it's not creating the efficiency that it should. And then pump 2B also had a space about 1/8 of an inch also, and there's a space between the elbow of the bottom of the pipe where the pump sits on the flange. It's worn, so we're getting blow by the flanges, so the pump's not able to pump what it's supposed to because we're getting blow by. So I have a price coming for a new elbow to be installed, so we have to do that and then get that taken care of down the road. So that's one of the issues that came about during the inspection. And pump 3 was clogged with various types of debris. Once the debris was removed, it was noted that the impeller has worn down to the point of only half of the impeller was left. I attached the pictures on the back. There's 3 pictures. First picture is the one with the debris in it. The second one is what remains of the impeller. And then the last picture shows the spacing between the wear rings. So at that point in time, we had 2 EQ pumps in standby in the spare parts. So we changed out EQ pump 2A and 3A to take care of the ones that were bad. and those went out to be evaluated. Along with the changing of the pumps, we did notice an increase in pumping capacity. The lag pumps will shut off during the night now for a period of 2 to 4 hours. So we've had some success in the pumping issue, but obviously the check valves and the valves still remain part of the issue. So we have got to the point where the pumps will at least turn off for a couple hours a night. So that was the positive note out of that work that took place. And as Steve mentioned earlier, parts are starting to come in, high core parts, the valves and check valves for the EQ tanks. And some of the updates on the other parts where they were still a 6 to 8 week lead time on the other pumps that we had ordered. So everything's coming in slowly. So the critical one, obviously, we all want the high core and we want the valves for the EQ tanks. So that's coming along very well.
If I may, excuse me, Keith.
Yes,
Is on these EQ pumps, in the way they slide down on rails and then they, where that elbow is, that's how they
Yes.
hook in, and then there's probably a gasket, the rubber
There's
gasket.
no gasket,
There's
it's
no
just a,
gasket.
yeah, machine surface to machine
Okay,
surface.
okay, all right. Now, are these pumps specific to that setup, or do most pumps, in other words, if we were gonna go out and say, all right, we're having these two pumps evaluated, and for what it's gonna cost to rebuild them, we look at it and say, maybe we wanna replace them.
Right.
So do we have to, are these gonna be, are these site-specific for that particular connection, or is it a typical
Not
connection?
universal, would be typical to flood.
Okay,
So-
all right.
So you have
It's
to,
proprietary,
change the bottom base along with the pump.
okay,
So the flange, the pitless,
correct.
has to be changed as one unit. So the rails and stuff are probably all interchangeable, maybe, maybe not, I don't know how
Yes.
those are.
Right.
Most of the time the rails are, but the base plate and usually the pump have to be one and the same.
Well, okay, right, they have to be,
So if you do one, you do both, and the
Okay.
problem is usually it's quite a bit of work to take the old plate out,
Sure.
you know what I mean, re-anchor it in, so forth and so on, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Correct.
okay.
So, quick question, Keith.
Yes.
If you don't mind explaining a little bit, when it comes out of the high core, your headworks, and it goes into those EQ tanks, does it hit a tank 1, 2, 3, 4?
Correct.
It does?
It goes into EQ tank number 1, which is the one that's underground on the higher part.
Okay.
You can't see it. So everything flows into there and then goes to the original EQ pump 1 and 2 wet well.
Okay,
And during construction, they had put in a 10-inch pipe that goes down grade to EQ tanks 2 and 3. It runs parallel to the front face of the tanks, and then there's 4 valves to adjust flow going in and out of the EQ tanks. And then it flows through to the EQ tanks 2 and 3 pump valve pits that go up to the back of the treatment plant.
let me just ask you this, so they were using it as activated sludge kind of pump it through?
That's why we kept it the same. That's
Okay.
so you get your detention time, so all the biological.
Yep. So was that sludge coming back into the EQ tanks, and then, or no?
Well, you have to return a certain amount of sludge, which is called RAS, return activated sludge, that has your bioorganisms in it. So you want to return a percentage of that back
So
to
it
the
starts
EQ
the
tank.
bacteria in the new
It
septic?
continues with breaking down the septic that comes in.
Okay. Quick question, and I don't know, you probably know, I know you know better than I do, but would it be beneficial to maybe lose that E1 first tank, right? Like shut the pump off in it, use it as a settling tank?
I'll back up a step.
Yeah.
EQ tank number 1, we do not use the pumps. It's
Okay.
gravity through there down to EQ 2 and 3.
Okay,
Those pumps are a backup during high flow conditions,
gotcha.
so they do not run.
All right, so it's
I
already,
added that information.
so it's already doing what I think it's
That's
doing?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets aerated, as the flow increases, it flows out of the tank, goes down to 2 and 3.
Because I'm just thinking, you know, I'm trying to figure out a way, because I know that magnetite's highly corrosive, you know what I mean? You get dirt and grit, you know, the
We're trying to
more,
minimize everything that comes through.
simple concept, basically, the more septic tanks you put in a row, you know what I mean? It settles all your heavies out.
That's right, yeah.
same concept, so
Right.
my thought is, okay, can we settle this out a couple times before it hits the last pumps and maybe get a little bit longer life out of our
Right.
pumps?
But from following that theory, from a maintenance point of view, you've got to go in and clean the bottoms out at some point in time, if in fact you're getting that settling. But if you're adding air to it and aerating it, there is no settling. That's what's happening in tank 1 and 2?
Well, it all depends. When we use the manual Birac, all you're doing is stopping large debris.
Right.
So that first tank can only aerate so much. If it's becoming overwhelming,
Okay.
all your solids are still gonna settle to
So
the
you're still
bottom of the
aerating
tank.
it?
Yes.
Okay. But the heavy stuff is falling? The
Right.
rocks are falling?
Did you guys, I know we talked with John the last time, did you guys clean it? When you would,
The tanks?
yeah, we thought.
No, we haven't cleaned the tanks.
Okay.
No.
Because I
It's
remember.
gonna be quite involved. I mean, it's,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
gonna have to isolate each.
Because I know we
section.
had talked to him, geez, this is probably a couple months back, when they were doing the jetting, because you
Right.
guys would have had the vac truck possibly
Right.
to maybe, clue it in, but I mean, if it, a little late now, but, yeah, no, we knew it's not gonna be an easy job, but it's one of those, I don't think it's ever been done,
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I'll follow up with John
yeah.
and see what the approach was.
And ask, you guys are the professionals here, it's just, you know how it goes. I mean, the more grit and stuff we can get,
yes.
it's maintenance, and
That's correct.
it's been 20 years, and so. Because you can isolate those, right?
That's correct. We did test the valves. They do work.
Okay,
So forward of the EQ tanks and after the EQ tanks, the
So-
valves isolate.
so probably too, once we get them check valves fixed,
Correct.
then you could really isolate them.
That's correct, because you'll be pumping the correct volume.
Yeah.
So you won't have all the excess volume.
And it won't be flowing back or
Right.
doing, okay.
Right.
So we get the check valves fixed, and in the
Correct.
meantime, you and John can kind of figure out maybe a scope for that.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Or, let me know or let us know if it needs to even be done. You know what I mean? You were down there looking at the pumps. If you don't
Right.
think it's that bad, well, obviously I don't want to waste the money. But
No, I understand.
if it's warranted, so.
Good.
Okay, pump station activities, all the pump station alarms tests were completed. Weekly generator full loads tests completed, no issue. Same thing, we had the servicing at all the pump stations along with the plant generator, so that's worked out very well. The MTAs were sampled on July 12th and July 23rd. And collection system activity on 4th of July, there was a grinder pump call at 110 Glen Echo Shore Drive. It was a high level alarm. The pump on float switch was too close to the alarm switch, so the pump on float could not come up to trip the pump to turn it on. So what we actually did is took the float tree out and turned the floats 90 degrees from each other
So
so
they
they
won't
can't get hung up.
Interact.
And so we resolved that problem with that. And also at your request, the pump system this was an upgraded system. You asked going forward that I'd let you know whether it was an old system or a new system.
Thank you.
Yes.
Keith, 1 second.
Yes.
Steve, could you make a note, and make sure you let Eddie know about this, what happened? Because I noticed it was a new system that was put in, and with the new system comes the tree.
Yes.
Right, so, just so, make a mental note, or written note to talk to Eddie about making sure he checks that out. Thank you.
And then also on July 7th, at 52 Stevens Park was a high level alarm. The pump was pulled and it was clogged. The debris was removed, pump tested and put back into service. This was an old system, so it's functioning properly except for it had debris that was clogged up in the pump. And then there was a grinder pump call at 62 Vine Street. Pump had failed and was replaced. System was tested and put back into service. This was an upgraded system. And July 18th, the grinder pump system upgraded at 52 Stevens Park because of pump control issues. And then for the month of July, there was 6 dig safes. Also at the request of the commission, the second portion of the report in the back covers Burlingame, should be in the binder. This is the information that they asked about 3 options in regards to the Burlingame pump station. So with the information we were able to research and get, this was the findings that we could find for the situation at the Burlingame pump station. So I attached the Carlson Systems replacement cost with the 2 submersible pumps to replace the 60 horsepower flakes with 2 Salsa ABS 27 horsepower pumps and guide rails. These pumps are identical to those that are in operation at Muggen Hill Road. The quote cost for the 2 replacement pumps and guide rails is $27,940. This price does not include the necessary wiring and electrical modifications which will be needed, or the mechanical modifications needed for this retrofit. It also does not include any costs associated with necessary crane and bypass pumping services which will be needed in order to facilitate this retrofit safely and effectively. As Veolia, we estimate the additional cost to be approximately $11,000, 5,000 mechanical service parts, and materials and labor, $3,500, and electrical and bypass pumping at $2,500. An estimated budget price to replace just one of the single existing non-rehabilitated 60 horsepower pumps that are replaced with a 27 horse would be $24,970. Again, this estimate price also does not include any additional engineering efforts that the town or state may want to consider or require before retrofitting the pump station with smaller horsepower pumps and discharge piping. So the costs associated with removing and rehabilitating and installing the recent failed 60 horsepower flight pump was $21,415. The price was to remove, rehabilitate, and reinstall the second existing pump with the same age and useful life expectancy for $19,950. This is less than the rehabilitation cost of the first failed because the first pump was found to be in a catastrophic failure condition when it was removed for service. And as we know, the cost of a new flight pump is $51,000. And some additional notes, the retrofit is not a replace in-kind scenario, therefore may require DEP approval due to engineering risks. The commission of the town may also believe some form of engineering risk mitigation about the pump manufacturer's proposal analysis is warranted. Both of these potential costs are not included in our estimates. It would be Veolia's recommendation to continue operating the pump station on a newly rebuilt pump as the lead pump and use the existing older pump as a lag. At a later date and under planned capital request, Veolia would rehabilitate the second pump at approximately the cost of the estimate provided. So at this time here, we do have pump number 1 in lead that was just rebuilt. So we'll use that, because at this time, there's not enough flow where 2 pumps will be running at the same time. So the other one's just a lag. It used to be in an automatic alternating cycle, so every time it shut off, the other pump switched over. So at this point in time, until there's a decision made down the road on which avenue of approach the commission wants to take on this, so that's where we're at this point right now. So that was the information that I could get from what we had available.
So just for clarification, Keith,
Yes,
so we've spent 21,000
that is
on the
correct.
pump that's in there now.
That is correct.
Okay. 19,000 for the other pump to take it out, rebuild it, put it back in.
That is correct.
So then we'd have 2 I don't wanna say brand new, but two
Right.
rebuilt
That is
60 horsepower pumps.
That is correct.
Okay. And then the other way, would put us around $40,000, give or take, to retrofit the whole thing out with the new 27 horsepower Slutzer pumps.
Right, which isn't including the additional mechanical work for piping, electrical.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure what's gonna pertain to the voltage,
Okay,
because you're going from a 60 horse to a 27 horse.
yep.
I'm not an electrical
Yeah, yeah, yep, yep.
engineer or anything to that aspect. And then regards to bypass pumping, you know, and installing one at a time.
So what did you have here, 5,000 in mechanical servicing?
That's, in regards to the mechanical servicing, we're talking about replacing the piping, reducing, putting new rails in, mounting the bases.
Okay.
That's what we're,
So, and this is just for clarification purposes. So like, let's say roughly this approximate 11,000. That's basically everything but the electrician.
anything else, if there was additional engineering, it's not gonna be.
Correct, yeah, no engineering permitting,
Right.
you know, or anything like that.
Yes.
But that's basically, if we gave you the go-ahead, you'd say, yep, I just need an electrician, but we'll retrofit this, and, you know, you have all new pumps and everything, you just need the electrician to put in whatever panel, switchgear, you know, whatever, figure
Right.
it out, right?
Basically.
The
that's what we're
cliff
looking
notes
at.
of it? Okay.
But like I said, at this point in time, you know, with the other pump being the lead pump, you know, it gives the commission time to, I
Absolutely.
guess, digest it as a, could choose that as a word for that, to review it.
So as it stands right now is the pump that went down, that's the pump we had rebuilt. Okay, so this $19,000 is to take the other pump that's there now out of service and get it rebuilt. And then put that back in, because I know when we were talking about the three options, that was the option, okay. So, but what we do know, the new information is from Keith, is that 60 horsepower pumps weren't needed there, that Viola took a look at it, and 27 horsepower pumps would work. So
Correct.
that was over-engineered from the beginning. Okay, I know I had someone take a look at this, and it was Blake Pump out of Rhode Island, which you're familiar with. They had quoted 2 15 horsepower pumps would do that. And now, the pumps we have there, they're not the variable frequency drives. They're just the pumps that are in there now. Are they VFDs?
No, they have a soft start,
Oh, they do have a soft
a
start.
soft start.
Okay,
That's different
okay.
than a VFD.
Right. The Blakes would have been a soft start or whatever, and that Blake quote was 38,000, including all the electrical components, not the electrician. It included the rails, didn't include the actual doing it, but, you know, the good news is, you know, it's up, it's running, and there is a backup there because excuse me, are they still alternating now?
No, we made number one the lead pump.
You made one lead and one lag,
Correct.
okay.
For the simple reason is pump number 2 has the same amount of runtime.
Oh, yeah,
hours
yeah,
on it.
no, I hear you.
I
So
prefer to be proactive about it and not have something happen where, you know, we get into that same condition in case the commission decides to go the route of pulling that pump and having it rebuilt.
What's your thoughts, Keith, with a typical rebuild? 10 years, 5 years, 2 years? Do you have any
I can't make it.
experience?
Yeah, it ranges, I guess it's the climate, if you wanna call it, that the
Correct.
pump is in, so what it experiences. I've seen pumps that'll go, 12 years, 15 years, some have gone 22 years, So it's really basically the climate that they're in, or the exposure that they take.
Because the existing pumps that are in there now are about 20 years old,
Yes, I think.
give or take.
Yeah, getting closer to 18 years old.
It's got to be early 2000s. Or
That was
late
fa-
90s.
phase-
It was 1999, I believe, is what was on the ASBIL.
Yeah, phase 2 and phase 3. That's what, phase 2 and 3 was Glen Echo and Charlton Center.
So 18 years, give or take.
Right.
That's actually not that bad.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
you know, that's,
Yeah, but the only, Norma and Steve had figured it out. There's only like 2,700 gallons a day going there when the school's open.
Oh, correct,
You
they're
know,
not getting a lot of usage.
That's right,
but-
that's
but
right.
To Keith's point, sometimes, it don't even matter on the usage, sometimes, the seals break
Oh, by all
down because
means,
there ain't a
by
lot
all
of
means,
use. If
by all
the
means.
oil goes or it gets contaminated, you're good as gone. But
That's the other reason you like to have the alternator running on it, so that the pumps alternate, you get them exercise all
Right,
the time.
exactly.
Versus letting it sit for 30 days and then say, I wanna switch lead and lag.
Yeah,
So basically what we do now is once a week, turn pump number 2 on and exercise it. Because we're leaving number 1 as lead, because that's the rebuilt one. So we just wanna make sure everything rotates and, we don't let it get to the point of what happened to number 1.
so the tricky part, if I can just maybe have, this is my 2 cents, and maybe you guys can confirm it with me, is that if we did go ahead with a rebuild, like a whole new retrofit, it's not 40,000, it's 61,000 now, plus possibly
No.
another 10 or 20,000 in miscellaneous cost engineering.
The conversation that we had 6 weeks ago was, do we rebuild or do we buy new? That's what we were flopping around. What happened was that pump got rebuilt, we got committed. So we're now into plan number 3, which was, I guess 1 was buy new, and 2 was to buy a whole new pump, and 3 was to repair the pumps that we have. So that's the plan that we're in right now. We can't deviate from that now. I think we as a commission have got to decide is where are we on our wish list? And is this something that should be close to the top, even though it's functioning now, but it needs to get rebuilt just because of its age, and it was doing left, right, left, right. And the thing is, if we get that rebuilt, then what you would do is you'd then turn it back on to be,
That's
the duplex pump that it is.
correct.
So I think we're already locked into that plan.
That's basically where I was kind of going.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Paul?
No, I was just hoping that we could, having the newest rebuild being the lead pump, that we could just go with that for maybe 4, 5, 6 years or something like that. And then, because I'm all for converting to the 4-inch pumps instead of the 6. The cost of the 6 are astronomical, not just now, but running it and in the future for replacing them again. At some point, we ought to convert over. We tried doing it this last time, but it was too late by the time we set out to do that. The other one had already been ordered. But I haven't changed, just the fact that the other one hasn't been ordered doesn't change my mind that I would still like to convert to the smaller pumps. To me, it just makes more sense. As you say, we're not pumping that many gallons a day. We don't need this huge pump down there. And since we missed the boat on this one, like I say, maybe 6, 7 years, we'll line it up to
Because we're not stuck there with that size pump. But other
Correct.
towns and stuff might be stuck with that size pump.
Correct.
And if they can get a brand new rebuilt pump for $15,000 or $10,000,
Right. It's almost like, let's put it on Craigslist.
well, I hate to say it like that, but it
I
kind
didn't, I
of is.
didn't wanna go, I didn't wanna say it, I really didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just hate to see a $50,000 or
Oh, absolutely.
$20,000 pump, being thrown in the scrap bin.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
It's foolish,
And I hear where Paul's coming from, it's the common sense is, you continue to fix the used car. At some point in time, you say, look, life is over.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is that's when you gotta say is, you gotta bite the bullet. But, again, we have, all these plans that we have engineers drawn up, and then they go to be reviewed, the state looks at them, who was looking at the fact of that 60 horsepower pump being spec'd there? Did anybody look at that?
Unless it's inadequate, it doesn't get questioned, I hate
Yeah.
to say it, right? You've seen a lot of, Chris? Over-design never gets truly questioned,
Yeah. All right, so that,
right?
so that Keith can move on, I've just got a couple of questions on the plant performance report, Keith.
Yes.
Maybe you can, let's go right to the first page here of the report. Talk to us about we've got the flow there at 450, and we got, in July was 211,000 daily average. And
That's for the monthly average.
the monthly daily average, which this average here is, in the month of July and August, usually we have the least amount of I&I. So this is really, I call it our true raw flow of our system. Now, on the next two lines down, it's BOD,
Yes,
and one's in milligrams and the other one's is pounds per day.
that's correct.
And I see that the average, one says our limitation is 18, and the actual recorded is 4.
That's correct. 4 is our results from the laboratory.
Okay,
And the left side is your limitations, it says, that's actually your MPDES permit.
okay,
So
okay,
those are your parameters that you have a max of.
all
So
right,
for BOD and milligrams per liter, your monthly average is 14 for a limit on the permit.
right.
We're actually doing below that, we're at 4, so.
We're at 4, and also we're probably at about, without getting into notices, we're about at 50% capacity. Because if we get up to 410,000, we'd have to call up DEP or EPA and say, look, we're getting close to our capacity, if that's what our flow is.
Right,
So if we're at 50% and our BOD limitation is 14, then we easily could be at 7, but instead of 7, we're about 60% of that at 4.
right,
So that's good news.
that's correct.
Okay,
The
and then,
plant performance is great.
okay, and then on the
Yeah.
next,
This is a lot better than before,
this is better before.
right? Have you looked at, compared to like last year and stuff like that? or
I've
years-
gone back in the programs just to see where plant performance was at, different areas, to get familiar with what different types of process we're running at in, milligrams per liter,
Yeah.
RPMs, what waste rates were, return rates, so. So you take that information, put it in with the knowledge that we have, and come up with an area to focus on, and go forward from there.
Go ahead.
So then as far as poundage goes, we're really low on the poundage.
Yes,
So that's good news. Now, and so the month of July, our newest customer is now online. Have you noticed any inflections or any,
we haven't seen anything in
Abnormals?
regards to BOD, the TSS, ammonia. The metals are out, so we're waiting on the metals results.
Okay.
And that would be one of the concerns, is seeing what the metals results came back as.
okay,
Because I believe there was some questions on some of their metals that they would possibly be having in the discharge.
okay. So when you look at these numbers, everything is in line. In fact, they're favorable
Yes, sir.
as far as our operation goes. All right, and this is testimonial to the operation that you guys are doing down there.
This
Nice
is your
job.
report card, and it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm all set.
Cool.
Thank you, Keith.
Any other
Very
questions?
welcome, sir.
Thanks, Keith.
All right. You have a great evening. Thank you.
You too.
Be safe out there.
You also, Steve. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Chris, you wanna come on down?
Evening.
So, hey, we're jamming tonight. Don't bottle it all down,
That's it,
don't,
that's-
you know,
That's it.
we're moving,
Okay.
so.
Chris McClure with McClure Engineering, for the record. We all survived with our retinas intact from today's event, it's a good thing.
A little blurry driving home, but all in all.
All right, so, my agenda, and basically I carried it over from week to week just to ensure if there was any items there that I, you know, if I don't have a report on that the commission wanted to talk about, that would be, would be on there, to discuss. But, in the past couple of weeks, in addition to, with exception to, I shall say, that, we did receive the BRP WS 32 permit back from the Mass DEP. I don't know if this was in the packet from Steve. This was sent to me, I believe it was going out in the mail, or it was sent to me electronically. So this is the permit, the DEP permit application for the water distribution system modification. This is basically the Mass DEP component that gives us approval to start construction on the water lines. And obviously, we've had discussion that there is potentially gonna be some modifications to the water line configuration down in the, you know, by the school area. Those will be able to address, they will be able to address as, you know, as the process continues, but basically this is a key component in getting the contract out the bid, starting construction. Typically with these types of permits, you have, at the very end, you have, you have some permit conditions, whether they're general conditions or specific conditions. In this case, they just call them general permit conditions. And really, there's nothing there that's out of the ordinary. It's like laundry list of things that they typically put in there. I would say that item 5 is saying that they also looked at the tank mixers and the skater improvements. That 100% design plans wasn't completed. They're going through the 60, now we're in the 90%. Once they send those in and get approval, they'll be able to, you know, initiate that work, which they're expecting to do this construction season. So, i.e., you know, they're saying, talking about, you know, October now, that October, November, where they're getting this, the SCADA set up and the tank mixers. Okay, so that was basically what was out there. The approval was sent to both the town administrator and to ExxonMobil Rapids as it was a dual applicant on the package that went into them.
Putting a mixer in the Hammond Hill tank.
Yeah, mixer in the Mass Ave tank and the Hammond Hill tank.
I know Mass Ave, but
Yeah.
even though Hammond Hill, we might not be using it for that length of time?
Well, it's gonna be, the trigger for taking Hammond Hill off and transitioning over to the 750,000 gallon Charlton tank is 250,000 gallons a day, 200,000 gallons a day? Just over 200,000 gallons a day. So it, you know, there's potential that it's going to be, you know, a few years down the road.
Okay, it would seem 200,000 gallons a day is the entire tank up there, that it would get mixed automatically without having to have a mixer in there. Mobil's paying for the mixer?
Yeah,
So,
and actually the mix is pretty passive. For that tank in particular, because it's a small tank, they basically just drop that mixer down through the top of the tank. They don't need to drain it. They run the power up, it's just 120 volt power. They run that up into a conduit along the side of the tank, attach it to it's a concrete tank, so there's a special procedure for attaching it to that tank. And then they just drop it down in the center of the tank and let it do its thing,
So this is a much cheaper mixer than we put in the
Well-
blue tank up. I mean, that was like $50,000.
Exactly. That tank was it's the volume inside the tank and the configuration of the tank. Hammond Hill is not a very tall tank and it's wider, so and it's not as many. It's 1/3 of the volume that is up in Charlton. So it's really just if you ever saw the mixer, it's a 1/4 horsepower motor with a impeller that's, you know, if it's 4 inches in diameter. And it's designed in such a way that it creates this vortex in the water, you know, kicks that water out, so. But that, you know, again, that's to improve that water quality, which is such a, you know, such a critical concern there, keep that tank mixed up, so. So that is, you know, and the other part of that would be the improvements to the SCADA for that to happen as well. So, looking to the future, you'll have that, the SCADA, the radio transmitter on that tank, and allow you to interact with, if in fact that system ever had to go online, allow you to interact with that, with the water system up in that area. But ideally, that will come offline.
Quick question, wasn't there another mixer plan to go in Southbridge?
Yes, well, the Mass Ave.
No, besides the Mass Ave, didn't they already put one
They
in?
put one in a breakneck, yes.
Okay, so they now have, is the mixer in Mass Ave now?
It is not, no.
Okay,
The two mixers in the SCADA, in addition to the SCADA components that go down at the wastewater treatment plant, those are projected in this, what we're calling the first phase of work. That SCADA system, as I discussed, is just gonna be a operator read, no interaction with the system. It'll tell you what's happening at Mass Ave, whether or not the pumps are on, it'll show you the elevation of the tank, and then your elevations of the other tanks in the system, and pressures at the pump station.
do you know if Jim Law is involved in the SCADA
No,
system?
No, it's not.
Because he needs to come back and finish fixing ours.
Right. They've been consistent. Woodard and Curran is the SCADA manager for Southbridge Water Department.
Yep.
And so it just, and also the RTK, which is the radio guys. So, you know, in discussions, it only made sense to go with the folks who are running the Southbridge and communicate that way. And then you're gonna basically have a system that integrates at that point. If you ever become an executive water system, obviously all that operator interface will come back to the wastewater treatment plant, and you'll still have a system that communicates with Mass Ave, you know, obviously the tank. At that point in time, you'll have control of the pump station versus the other way around. So that's the update on the design plans for the water system expansion. I did send Steve along an email relative to discussion surrounding the advancement of the evaluation of the school loop. They're looking at, again, the issues if the proposed PRVs are bypassed, how many houses that would affect, or what pressures they would affect, and how to facilitate water transfer around that loop to, so that so blow-offs are not gonna, you know, so ideally is keep blow-offs to a minimum when that system comes on and during the summer, and whether or not that system needs to stay in operation during the winter time or until we get, you know, the required amount of connections down there, but that evaluation is still ongoing. It has been discussed with Southbridge, the operator, you know, so they're on board with what's going on. They you know, I think, oh, actually, we did talk about it because I said they had looked at pressures instead of like 100. They're looking at allowing pressures, you know, connections of pressures, you know, greater than 100 up to 140, 150, in order to facilitate that configuration. Okay, so we've been told that the design for that 169 pump station is forthcoming. I haven't seen any additional plans for that, but we should be seeing those within the next 30 days or so. Okay,
When do you go in front of the ZBA?
we need to have that P&S signed before we can
Okay.
do that. So we're working on. I've worked with the.
I think the lawyers are talking, aren't they?
I spoke with town council today, and he's got some additional information. There was some errors in the names that were on these plans that were resubmitted, so hopefully we got through those issues today, and he is going to reach out to their attorney and get this conversation, move that process along.
Chris, question is, where the proposed building is located, what is the distance between the actual front of the building that faces 169 and the actual property line?
If we're talking about the original right-of-way configuration, Rob?
No, we're
or
talking about the one that got
reconfiguration?
sent just last,
I would say it's probably 7 feet.
7 feet,
That's probably.
7 feet. So 7 feet away from the front of the building would be road front frontage for that building.
It would be, well, there would be, that access would be maintained, so I don't know if you guys had seen the latest, the ortho, the new property line reconfiguration with the ortho lid over it.
One and the same, I thought.
Yeah, one actually shows the existing conditions overlay versus what the recorded plan would look like.
Something across like this.
So in that configuration, it would maintain the access to the property owner, and then there would just be easements across that reconfiguration. This is black and white.
Really? Black and white?
Well, I saved the color for
Yeah,
the chairman. And I
Yeah,
gave it
yeah,
back.
yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
I only brought one copy here, so, sorry about that.
Okay.
So
Let me
that's
know.
the latest and greatest on that one, we'll advance that and see, hopefully the PNS gets signed and we can get to the ZBA on that. Okay, so moving quickly is, let's go to 232, can we skip across town to 232 Stafford Street?
Yeah, hey, quick question back on this pump station.
Yeah.
Did Exxon give you any indication that if, because the season kind of got washed out, if that gets, maybe it gets done this year, or has there any been any of those talks, or no?
Yeah, I mean, they wanna move on that pump station, I mean, obviously there's an ownership thing at this point in time.
Correct.
But they have never taken the fact that that's gonna be off the edge of road on private property, taking the position that they couldn't stop that outside of what we call
Yeah.
I guess we call it,
Construction
highway
season.
control construction season, right? So if we can get that approved, then the plans approved.
Have they designed the pump station yet?
The pump station is, you've seen conceptual on the building
Correct.
design. We've provided feedback relative to pictures of roof, the exterior look, stuff like fake, just the aesthetics.
Yep.
But I have been told that the pumps, the configuration for, that's gonna, meet.
The guts.
The guts are right there as well. We did have that little hiccup relative to the hydrant flow test, but that's been
Okay.
verified that everything is still, in the hydraulic system down there, everything's still the same way. So
Okay.
I've been told that they're advancing that design. So what they do is they send that out to a company.
Yeah. So basically, in theory, once this thing gets purchased, zoning, all that stuff goes through, this thing is pretty much ready to go.
Yeah, I mean.
Minus a little bit of tweaking.
Yeah, you'll be chewing on a turkey bone when it's ready.
I know.
CBA is gonna cost you 60 days, at least. It's August 21st today. I know what day it is today, but I mean, it's, this isn't gonna get built till next spring.
Okay.
Yep, yeah.
Okay. Hope for the best.
I would definitely hope for the best, but I
Yes.
don't wanna be negative.
All right, where am I at now?
232 Stafford Street.
232 Stafford.
Please get it off our table.
Okay, it is actually off the table. You've signed off on the final design. We have received the approval stamp from the Southbridge DPW, So I contacted Maura today, I said, you know, I'm gonna walk into that meeting, I'm gonna wanna know what's going on. She said that, they are planned to go, and that construction is scheduled to start in October.
Okay.
So everything goes well, this will be completed by the end of the construction season.
Sounds good.
And I guess the approval letter from the DPW did make mention of ensuring that the, you know, that right-of-way was fully established so that the shut-offs, you know, they took what we had discussed in that approval and they put it into into part of the condition for Southbridge, so it didn't get lost in translation, that the shut-off goes on, you know, on, within the right-of-way and not within a property line. And also they made note of the potential for, lower pressures that the homeowner, you know, that homeowner might find, so that, booster pumps should be, you know, evaluated, you know, at the time, once those connections are made and those pressures can be reviewed.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's that. I know that the folks in Beta were on vacation last week. I was looking for an update as far as the hydrant flow test, you know, those hydrants that were flowed, most recently. We're expecting, I guess, we were expecting to see something here shortly.
I talked to them at 3 o'clock today with the commission's permission. I haven't talked to you. They have found 2 lengths of pipe that weren't there. They have now been put in, and Kendra has looked at them, and she said they're looking good. So they're hopeful. They found a length of pipe in the Gillespie Road area, and they found another length of pipe down on 169. I have no idea what is on 169 that would have been part of that pipe. The Gillespie Road, we put that 8-inch in 2 years ago now, I think. So
Yeah.
they're hopeful as to what they're looking at.
Okay.
It now seems to be behaving like it should be.
Have you seen any better pressures up at your office? No.
My
You took
booster
the gauge
pump-
off?
Yeah, I took the gauge off. My booster pump's still operating every time we turn the faucet on, so I know that, you know, that thing won't activate unless it, you know, it needs to, so. I will tell you that, so, because as you're aware, prior to them doing these additional flow tests, Kleinfeld put pressure loggers on the hydrants that we had tested before to look at those pressure transients throughout the system. They wanted to see what would happen during, you know, how the system would react during these higher flows. One of the things that they did indicate, and, you know, I got this information at my last meeting with the Southbridge Water Department, is that once they stopped flowing that test, the hydro test, the pressure, the PRV was stuck open. The PRV never dropped out. So Kleinfelder did let Southbridge know that. Southbridge has since talked with Flow-Rite. They were on site today, actually, but they believe that a rock got lodged into that PRV, which locked this, which didn't allow the PRV to shut, which maintained those high pressures down west of the city power. In review of the pressure loggers, with that PRV lodged open, they were still seeing those transients. Didn't matter if that PRV was on or was off, which, you know, it's good and it's bad. It's saying, well, at one point we thought the PRV could have been the problem, open and shut and slamming up, you know. But you know, based on what they're saying that it's likely not, you know, that may not be the case. So I did see the folks from Southbridge there today. I'm assuming they were there to dislodge that you know, whatever was impeding that PRV to shut. So once those hydrants come back, the flow tests come back, we can superimpose that pressure loggers on top of that, and then see what you know, what potentially could be the issue.
They get the VFDs installed now, right?
The VFDs are installed. They've been in for a couple of weeks, and so that, the VFDs, the pressure valves, well, actually, Kleinfeld hasn't been back in to see what the pressure swings are with those VFDs, because the VFDs are set, I believe it's only 10 seconds before they come on and off. There's not much of a delay. When the contractor installs them, they don't spend any time programming them. So what Southbridge is gonna do is have those programmed to delay that start and stop for 30, 1 minute, minute 30, or maybe up to 2 minutes, to see if they can really delay any potential, see if the swings are, are correlated or a result of that, of their booster pump coming on and off. Right now, instead of instant, it's 15 seconds, and then 15 seconds. So, better than it was, but just really not
Yeah.
enough time to see if it's really gonna.
If I may, Chris, the water line that comes from Southbridge through Charlton City and then goes up Stafford Street, correct?
Yes.
So when it goes up Stafford Street and then it levels out where City Depot is, then it goes up again. Are there any loggers there to determine if in fact there's any pressure variations in that section of the line?
I'll have to, I don't recall where, there was definitely one in Charlton City, whether it's up.
Yeah,
Was
the
it- is it
transmission
close-
line or the,
Well, you know what, that's the issue, we don't have any, the first hydrant is at the,
Is that Timber Valley,
no, it's actually at,
Cook's Farm?
I believe Ted's installed one as part of his project right after the
You did.
turnpike.
Yeah,
Yes.
but is he downhill, or is he coming in from Southbridge or coming down?
And from Southbridge, I mean, we're talking about at the.
Right, it's on Maple Street.
No, it's,
There's hydrant on Maple Street. I'm not saying I've hit it, but I know where it is.
yellow or red?
Now you're testing me.
Red.
It's across from where
It's red.
Derek
Just
lives.
painted.
It's red?
They're all red now.
Shiny
No,
red.
not, all red.
They're not all the same
The
color.
yellows are still yellows.
They just said they'd painted them all red.
They
They
painted.
were supposed to
they
complete them this
painted
week.
Charlton's red, but we still have that
Oh,
separate and
okay.
distinct, we still
Right.
have hooks.
Okay.
I
Okay.
hope they didn't
Well,
paint yellow.
Yeah,
yeah, because that's the
They've
first
beat
one,
me up
right?
about yellow hydrants for 10 years now.
Okay, all right.
this is frustrating because this has been worked on now for 6 or 8 months. And I want you to envision this. If you got a lake that's dead flat and you've got walls, people have walls on their lake, you got a boat that goes down it, the lake, the wake of the boat, that wave goes against the wall. Then it reverberates back, goes across the lake, hits the other one, and it goes like this. That's what's happening in our water system. This is what we're having in there,
Yes,
correct?
That's right. yeah.
All right, so the thing is, if you had it in your house, they sell these little things that to prevent hammering. When you shut the water off and you hear the pipes bang. Well, if you have one of these little hammers, what it does, allows for a cushion.
Yeah,
So
just
that-
like a pressure tank, right?
Exactly, exactly, right, right. Again, turn our big tank on and see if you still have it then. Because then it has a place to go. Right now, it has no place to go. Is that valve in front of Mitchell's, City Powers, is just, that, I believe, is the problem. It's just the fact that it shuts off and turns on. You got a slug of water coming down, and you gotta shut it off. Every action, you get an opposite and equal reaction, and that's what's going on there.
You're right, so.
It's not that I'm right, it's just that.
So relative to
Fix it.
that, well, yeah, and the key is that prior to ExxonMobil coming in and working on the system, the town hasn't had any money to evaluate. From the Southbridge side of things, hasn't caused any operational problems in the water system, so
Yeah.
we're just letting it go. I think what's good here is that, one, is that you're doing this master study with Beta to, and that's creating problems with the model being able to be calibrated, so that's bringing it to light. additionally, there are pump stations that are being designed as part of this water system expansion that they cannot validate the pressures due to the variations in order to get the pump stations designed. So they're almost forced to look into this. And I don't, you know what, if it's as easy as opening the tank, you know, then that's not easy, because obviously we can't get the tank to operate without enough turnover. But
Quick question, do you have to operate that full?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So you can't just put a quarter of level in
No.
it and use it as another buffering
Oh,
tank?
oh, you
No,
ready?
I'm just curious.
No, this is,
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
Heather and I have talked about this a million times. There was a way to put a donut in a bag in this.
There you go, now you're
Send a
talking.
line up through it, you know, send a line up through it, because we need to
Need the height.
operate on that upper section of that hydraulic grade line. The lower section isn't any good, you know.
No, I'm just thinking for a buffering.
Right, but
I'm not thinking for height against your pressure, is that if it gives it that space to disperse the hammering.
problem is Hammond Hill and that tank are gonna find their equilibrium with that line, with that hydraulic grade line, unless you could separate the two, which you really can't.
No, but what I'm getting at is, so you going back to the Glen Lake effect.
Yes.
I didn't say going up, I just said the lake effect, that's all.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if you're a water skier, you'd know about that.
So-
You don't like ripples.
So here's the thing, you know, obviously you don't have the natural shorelines, what do you use to disperse the waves? We're saying the tanks,
It's
right?
typically a tank. And the configuration, see, most water systems aren't configured in the manner that this one is.
Correct.
So you typically are, you know, running this water out, looping it around. There's no real interconnections in this system. Other than, it's just a straight line going out and all the way around and back down through. Typically, you're interfacing the, you know, I guess you would, you know, create interconnections within that, loops within that distribution system. And then that tank wouldn't be on such an extremity of that system either, kind of be up in the midst of it and working. It's not at the high point, the tank's not at the high point. It's not at a point at the end of the line, it's kind of just, at one point it was at a high point at the end of the line, but it's not that way anymore.
Right. My thought was when they were doing this test, if they just went up to the tank, the valve that feeds the tank, they just opened it a little bit. Just because both of our water tanks, the small one over there on J. Hammond Road, they're atmospheric tanks. So, again, the water's not pushing against anything. So, because you got the atmosphere. So I thought if they were gonna do this hydrant test, if they opened the tank up enough to where they could let the whole system be available to that additional atmosphere, that might help it to settle down. If it is, then that's the answer, is you gotta get that big tank online sooner than later. But Chris, looking at, there's two pump stations. Bay Path's pump station, it's an automatic, it's non-negotiable. That's gonna happen. The only question now is, what size pump are they gonna put in, depending on the pressure of the water coming to it?
And where it's located, actually. They were trying to tuck that pump station up on the hill, get it off the road.
It's going right where the white barn is, that's where it makes the
Actually,
most sense.
It might need to get pushed further down in elevation. in order
Because they won't have enough pressure to make the pump station?
for the suction pressure on those pumps.
Okay, all right, so you move it down 30, 40 feet.
Right.
But you'd like to have the correct answer. You'd like to know the answer, because this is really Isaac Newton here, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically well, without it's Isaac Newton with
With a bounce, it's got a
wide
bounce.
variable
Yeah.
that we just can't pin down, and it does make a lot of sense for them to, if they can determine what. Pressure are we, you know, you asked me as a design engineer, what's the moving target that we're designing to? So I can tell, so we can determine whether the pump station can work. If it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. So, you know, what are you gonna pick that spot in the middle? You know, what are you gonna come up with for that that suction pressure, your design pressure. Is it a low one, it's a high one, how often is it sitting there, you know, so that's, again, I think it's a positive to come of all of it, you know, this is gonna get addressed, or it's just gonna go down as a natural phenomenon, it only happens, you know.
Yeah, like the Bermuda Triangle, is that what
Yes,
you're
yes,
saying now?
exactly.
Yeah,
If
good,
we're trying.
yeah. Got the Masonic home, it's either, it's critical. It's, you know, 10, 15 feet makes a difference.
Exactly.
5 pounds of pressure.
It's
300 grand or
it's
not
this
300?
close from the pump,
Yeah.
from having its own, from them being able to utilize what they have for infrastructure, and just bringing the water line up and connecting to it and be done with it, rather than creating a pump station down, you know, by the entrance and then repressurizing that, so. So that's, you know, that's all I have relative to, you know, the Berry
Good.
Corner Water Line project status. I think Steve was at a pre-construction meeting for that. I did see some meeting minutes that went out with that, doing the preliminary, and the rest of this stuff has already been addressed in other items, so.
So the pre-construction meeting was that Berry Corner Road or for here?
Berry Corner Road,
Berry Corner Road?
yeah.
But there's no, what percentage are those plans at?
They were just talking about their whether it's
Yeah.
pre-design or,
Pre-design.
yeah.
So
We
it's
did get
just-
a memo, I think the memo was issued, from somewhere,
Yeah.
from Diane Bond.
Anybody
Yes,
looking at
yeah.
commercial,
Yeah,
anybody looking at Commercial Drive? No?
I was asked that a couple of times, so I don't know where that status is with that.
You were asked that?
I was asked, yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So, that's it. Got what you wished for. It's fast and quick and,
So you're done?
I think so.
Good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I mean, good, good is, and my marriage gets another check mark.
Doesn't she like to see you on TV, Dave?
Yeah.
Oh, there's Daddy. There's Daddy.
Must see entertainment.
Yeah, yeah.
All set?
Sounds good.
I'll set there, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
McClure.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Good night.
Okay.
Okay,
Bang through some of this old business real quick.
real quick.
All right, the check valves, Hugh said he's working on them. You getting some parts in and stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's good.
Well, check valve, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
the-
fine. I know. All right, he went over the maintenance agreement. We don't need to do the matrix. All right, the PNS agreements between the lawyers. The status of the superintendent, I got an email from the HR department. We have 7 applicants. She narrowed some of them down, and we need to get in there and review them. I talked with her. Robin had mentioned possibly an open session, interviews. She agreed no. Because I just asked her, I said, you know, I don't see this being normal practice. I've never seen anybody being in an open interview. She agreed. She said, you know, it's polite to keep confidentiality. You know, once we kind of make it to one, then you can do an open one, or if you know, couple, something like that. But, so I would suggest, we need to do one of two things. Either set an appointment where all us members, do it, executive session,
That's what we
Interview.
did for Steve, I think. We all-
interview, and then, or we appoint a couple people, you know what I mean, go through the 7,
Right,
come back.
right, as I recall, there was a subcommittee set up that reviewed the people, and then the subcommittee reported back to the commission.
So Jessica, I believe it is.
Yeah,
She said,
I remember.
she said she has 3.
Specifically, I remember, yes.
She narrowed it down to 3 of the strongest out of the 7. So she does have that narrowed down.
Yeah.
I personally think that we should just review all 7, just to make sure that her goals and our goals
Or
are all
at
the
least be given the resumes of the other 4.
Yeah.
so we can make sure we agree with her on the three that she did, you
Exactly,
know.
just to, she might look at different stuff different than we do.
Mr. Chairman, maybe I'd like to make a suggestion or a motion that we set up a subcommittee of two to do that legwork and report back to the commission. And I certainly would like to be part of that subcommittee, and if Paul wants to join me on it, then there's your subcommittee.
It's okay, I'll second the motion.
Second motion, discussion, do you have time, Paul?
I think we could, usually it's around 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, after the other people are out of their other job.
Well, I think first we'd meet with the director,
Yeah,
look
so
look at
I
the
think-
paperwork
I
and
think
the...
I can squeeze that in,
Okay.
that'll be all right, yeah.
So I have her email, I will forward it to you guys, well, I'll call her tomorrow, give her a heads up on what we chose to do. You two, she'll either get in touch with you,
Sure.
or you two, vice versa, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then, what we should do then is, I don't wanna waste a bunch of time with this.
No, we'll get right on it.
No, but I mean, so the following meeting, we should probably have the status of the superintendent on the agenda, and then if you guys confirm the three, we can figure out too how, well, hopefully, I'll ask her tomorrow. We need to figure out how we get the resumes, whether we go through them next meeting. You get what I'm saying? An executive session. So let's say you guys confirm with her and it's those
Yeah,
three.
all right, Rob and
Four.
I review them, and then we can talk about them openly in executive session after the next meeting.
But do you follow what I'm saying? But then, still after that meeting, it's gonna be, okay, set up a time. And then that set up a time is coordinate with the, you can follow what I'm saying? So, we're still talking
No, we should have this done.
45 days out of,
No, we should have this done in 2 meetings. 2 meetings,
okay.
yeah. Okay, so we've got a motion, a second on the floor.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, okay, that's what we would do. So you guys will report back to us. If everything's in agreement with her, right?
Done.
Present the top 3, 4, whatever, right? Okay, sounds good. And any news on that? I know that was kind of Jen's
That
thing.
would have been Jen's.
Congressman Neal's office, did she say anything to you guys? Okay, so we'll wait, that's no problem. And then the EQ pumps, we talked about that, so, okay.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna have a hard time saying next meeting is September 11th, which is, that's
3 weeks.
It's 20 days away. Maybe we'll be able to come back. We'll try to step this up with the HR person.
Well, if you guys confirm what she said with the candidates, we can have, because it's not gonna be a regular scheduled meeting,
Yeah,
so we then, between all of us, can say, yep, these are 3, boom, we
All
can
right,
set
we'll
up the interviews.
but we'd still have to post it as an
Correct.
executive session, meeting, the purpose, and then have that.
But we can meet down the sewer plant, on a Monday night, or we can meet any night,
Right.
so it doesn't,
Okay, all right, yeah, because it just seems like a long time.
Yeah,
You agree?
I think so too.
that's what I was afraid of, and then it goes to the next meeting, and then,
Yeah.
so, okay.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Next meeting is September 11th, 2017.
I second
Town
that.
Hall, 6:30.
I'd like to second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Here we go,
Wow,
perfect.
How about that for
Better
timing?
shut the lights right off. Is this mine or you?